And hello internet, Lord Ozunu here. So today I decide to talk about Steven Seagal and is it his martial arts style really effective? Well, as probably all of you know by now, Steven Seagal is a black belt in aikido, so basically just by that fact alone he's supposed to be very good in the martial art at the first place. Not to mention that he was actually the first westerner who bring aikido to the United States, so by those two feats alone you know that he should be legit. Now, after testing some clips that I found him fighting in the real life, not just in the movie, after all movies are just choreography, it's not like real fighting, I could see one thing that was kinda interesting to me. You see, when he do these demos against the opponents, usually they just stand there and let them be thrown down. They literally do nothing. I mean, it would be way better in the demonstration if they actually try to throw punches at him and he block, or have the presentation that is more sparring like, instead of just be hey, I will just stand there like a tree and you can throw me around. By that part I always have a problem. Now, with the aikido itself, it is interesting martial arts because, you know, it was from the time of the samurai and it was designed to fight our opponent that have a sword, and you will use a momentum of his sword attacking. So for that part in which it is designed, I can say that aikido is actually very useful because it can use in the street fights, in the situation if your opponents have some kind of weapon. Aikido is actually pretty useful martial arts. Now, on the other hand, I want to say about Steven Seagal is the fact that he is very hated in the Hollywood right now, and that is the reason why they give him some of the actually bad movies of the B class or even lower that got a low budget, and that is because of all those scandals that he was part of, not to mention that he in some of his movies spread communist on Russia propaganda, and not to mention just this entire scene.
All the allegations of sexual harassment, you had a rape allegation against you, and I wonder how you deal with all that.
Yeah.
Hello, Steven Seagal.
Take the mic.
After growing of Me Too movement that was actually became very popular in the United States, it's clearly because of all those rape accusations that Steven Seagal have. It's just one of many reasons why people in the Hollywood doesn't like him. But of course, we are not here to say is Steven Seagal a good or bad person. After all, we are here to say is his martial art is actually effective and is he a good martial artist. So I will start from here.
Who's the most legitimate Hollywood tough guy in your opinion? You accept it, of course.
When you say tough guy, do you mean martial artist or just tough guy?
I mean, Stephen, for real, if he was on the street and there was a situation, you wanted this Hollywood guy by your side because he could defend himself. It's that hard to think of a legit one?
Can you think of one?
Michael Jai White.
Can I laugh in your face?
Really?
Yes.
Thoughts on Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Can I laugh in your face? Do I think Michael is a tough guy? No. Do I think he's a martial artist? No. Do I think Jean-Claude's a tough guy or a martial artist? No.
That claim came funny because we know from the Sylvester Stallone himself, from the time when he have a part in his house, Jean-Claude Van Damme actually challenged Steven Seagal on the fight, and basically Steven Seagal just ran away, and even Jean-Claude talked about that in one of the night show in which he was host, so I'm going to show you the insert from that part.
Tu as parlé de Stallone tout à l'heure, il raconte que tu te serais engueulé très très fort avec Steven Seagal dans sa villa à Miami.
Non, pas engueulé, il y a une petite poussette alors pour pas... Parce qu'il y avait une belle maison Stallone, il y avait des meubles et tout, bien. Et puis j'étais un peu fâché, j'ai dit à Steven, je t'attends dehors. Ah oui, parking, voilà.
Et vous êtes...
Non, ça a pris 2 heures, il n'est pas
Il n'est pas venu.
Bon,
je t'attends.
Pas...
Oui, mais enfin j'ai pas
Non,
envie de
c'est
venir.
pas ça, il était un peu grossier, il a fait une remarque tout à fait...
Déplacé.
Ouais, moi je suis pas...
Moi je trouve que quand t'es chez Stallone et que tu vois Van Damme et Steven Seagal qui sont à 2 doigts de se foutre sur la gueule, ça doit être étonnant. Hein.
Ah ouais.
Quand t'es dans la maison à ce moment-là.
Tu ranges les meubles. Hein.
Tu prends ton caméscope et tu fais un film. Hein. Attention.
Il y a Stallone qui a dit I'm not going to Australia, fucking crazy, I'm gonna go to fucking fly there. So il a dit ça, tu sais, il dit il va pas dehors, moi je vais pas le faire et tout. Yeah. Something like that. What's your name? Sebastian? Yeah, we're great fucking sure. Yeah. Hi, kids.
I think that is probably the reason why Steven Seagal talk all those bad stuffs about Van Damme in the several interviews.
You go watch the other guys. What do you think of Jeff Speakman or Van Damme? Do you know Van Damme?
No.
You've heard of him?
I saw Jean-Claude Van Damme fall off a motorbike here, going about 6 miles an hour. Must have had 40 aides helping him. Is that true he got in a fight with you?
No. It'd be like me squashing an ant.
I don't remember where, I don't know if it was the Inquirer, but I remember reading something about that.
Come on.
You, Larry?
I thought he said he did like a spinning double twist kick or something.
He looks like one in front of it.
If he sees me, he runs.
Well, he said that he whooped some aikido ass or something. I don't know.
Come on.
You know, if Jean-Claude Van Damme alone claimed that he actually challenged Steven Seagal on a fight and that he ran away, I would be skeptical, but the fact that actually Sylvester Stallone first confirmed this story and how Van Damme was simply too strong and the Steven Seagal didn't want to have anything from that, I couldn't claim that indeed that story is legit. Van Damme actually challenged him on the fight and he flee, he didn't want to fight. Now, why is that so interesting for me? Well, first of all, Steven Seagal is bigger and heavier than Jean-Claude Van Damme, so I will expect from him to actually start the fight, and that will be the first legitimate fight with other martial artists that we could have opportunity to see how good he actually is in the combat. But the fact that he actually flee and didn't want to fight from the fighter that was actually smaller and weight less than him show that he is not that tough as he presents himself in the movie at the first place. Also, not to mention that is not the first time that he actually lie. There is a lot of videos on YouTube that show how he made up many stories to make himself to look more important than he actually is. Of course, he is still impressive person as a fact that he actually knows Aikido and he is a black belt. I'm not going to lie, that is always impressive when you see a person that is dedicated for a long period of time to train some martial arts until it became a master. But on the other hand, I can see why he flee at the first place from Van Damme. After all, Jean-Claude Van Damme actually know 4 different martial arts, but come on, that size and weight different should be game-changing factor. Of course, I would also like to know that Steven Seagal made up his story, how he met Bruce Lee and how he trained with him, and you can see all about that in this spectacular interview.
Working together, and I tried to learn from him, and I think he tried to learn from me.
Are you sure about that?
Footage of Steven Seagal claims he knew Bruce Lee. He said he practiced and worked out together with Bruce Lee. He also said that he thinks Bruce Lee tried to learn from him.
Working together, and I tried to learn from him, and I think he tried to learn from me, and so being able to work with him that day and fight him was a great pleasure for
Steven Seagal claims he worked with Bruce Lee and fight him. Steven Seagal was born in 1952. Bruce Lee, however, died in 1973. That means Steven Seagal was only 21 years old. In the early 70s, we all know that Bruce Lee spent most of his time in Hong Kong making his movies such as The Big Boss, Fist of Fury and Way of Dragon. At the time, Seagal was not yet a master in Aikido. Isn't this sound suspicious? What do you think then? How real this story is? Let's see what else Seagal said in the interview.
And teacher, friends with James Coburn as well, who would was one of Bruce Lee's students. Indeed.
That's how I met Bruce Lee. That's how I met Bruce Lee. That's how I met Bruce Lee, was through James
Tell me, I was going to ask.
Steven Seagal claims he knew Bruce Lee through James Coburn. It has to be 1973 or way earlier than that. In 1973, Seagal was only 21 years old, and at that time James Coburn is already 45 years old. It is highly unlikely that James Coburn was a student of Seagal at that time. This is because Seagal was just an ordinary American teenager who at the time lived in Japan. He was not yet the martial arts master he would become years later. Isn't this sounds suspicious too? Let's see what else Seagal said in the interview.
So you met Bruce Lee. Tell me about your experiences with Bruce and what was he like and how did you get on with him?
You know, I wasn't around Bruce much. He was the kind of guy who kind of would badmouth most a lot of the other martial artists and martial arts in a kind of a sarcastic way, fun way, which I understood.
So, Seagal is saying Bruce Lee was the kind of guy who kind of would badmouth most other martial artists. For people who really know Bruce Lee, everyone knows Bruce Lee will never badmouth any other martial artist. So, this is definitely hilarious.
He never had anything bad to say about me. He was quite interested in aikido, and he was very nice to me. He knew that I grew up in Asia and that I had a son that was just exactly the same age as Brandon. And when I met Brandon, he had lighter hair and said, "This is my little Caucasian boy," you know.
Alright, now this is way beyond humorous. In the interview, Steven Seagal said that he and Bruce Lee exchanged stories about their sons. Seagal said that he had a son that is about the same age with Bruce Lee's son, Brandon Lee. Brandon Lee was born in 1965 and Steven Seagal's eldest son, Kentaro Seagal, was born in 1975. Kentaro Seagal was not only 10 years younger to Brandon, but also born 2 years after Bruce Lee's death. In fact, when Brandon Lee was born, Steven Seagal was only 12 years old. Isn't that funny?
After he made up such big event, I don't think that there is a lot of reason why should we trust a lot of things that he say when he constantly contradicts himself, and also he have a failure from the history class because he don't know actually how timeline of the history work. Anyway, that's pretty much what I have to say. I hope you like video, hope you learn something. As you can see, he knows some sort of aikido, but he's not actually that tough as he presents himself in the movie. That would be all. Lord Ozunu is out.